You are now listening to Playbook Radio. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
And welcome to Playbook Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links to the podcast can be found at gameplanplaybook.com. That's gameplanplaybook.com. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is a change in programming. Okay? So there was this radio station in Tampa I used to listen to. It was a sports radio station. It used to be, and it's still the case now, but when it first started, when like iHeartRadio first started, it was called something else. And the name escapes me at the moment, but you could listen to different radio feeds in different parts of the country. And that's always been cool for me because I grew up in a time when you couldn't do that. So it was really cool for me to listen to different feeds. So I would listen to these guys in the morning, and Booger McFarland was one of the people on the show. He's a former football player for Tampa Bay, and they would just do like a lot of like cool things. But basically, it was a sports channel. And one day, as happens in the radio business a lot, the station was bought and they changed programming, and the programming went to, I believe it was like Top 40 Radio or something like that. And a lot of people were upset, including me, because I liked listening to that channel. But it was a change in programming, and sometimes radio companies change programming because it will drive advertising dollars. It will be more financially viable. Even though people love sports, Top 40 Radio was still a big thing back then, and people, would listen to the radio and basically would listen to, the same, 10, 15 songs all day long, but, it drove ratings, and, that people, it was very successful, right? So that change in programming had to happen in order for the radio station to make money. And sometimes, in our minds, we have to change the programming if we're going to get what we want. Okay. So you started towards your goal. If you've been following along with me, you're on your fifth step, you completed your fifth step, or you're working on your fifth step, which is belief, right? And so while you're working on your beliefs, now you got to start thinking about your programming. And it may seem overwhelming at first, but in order for you to have what you want, you have to change the programming, right? In order for you to have more success, you have to change programming, just like that radio station did. That radio station had to change its programming in order to have more success. And for a lot of people, they don't even think about the programming because they're so used to it. They've been thinking this way their entire life. And it never occurred to them that maybe their programming is the reason why they're not where they want to be. Okay. From the time that you're born, some would say even earlier than that, you were programmed, right? You were programmed with a certain set of beliefs, a certain worldview. And this programming came primarily from your parents or guardians. So whoever was in charge of raising you, whether it's your mother, father, grandparents, so whoever contributed the bulk of the programming that you went into adulthood with. And so what happens is that people get out into the world and then they can't figure out, why is it that I keep hitting a wall? Why do I keep hitting these roadblocks? And they never deal with the programming. Okay. The programming is huge when it comes to any goal that you want to achieve. You can program your mind to get and achieve anything. And it doesn't matter where you went to school. It doesn't matter who your parents were or weren't. It doesn't matter what your GPA was in high school, college, or graduate school, if that's you. It doesn't matter, because you can program your mind to have anything, to do anything, to be anything, but you have to do it, right? Just knowing that you can program your mind is not enough. You've got to actually do it. You got to take the step to program your mind to have the type of life that you want to have. When I was it's about 10, 15 years ago, I used to listen to this guy. He was he was a personal development guy, and he had gotten rich through collections, right? He had started collection agencies, and he had gotten rich. But he told a story about Dennis Rodman, and I want to relay that story here because it really changed my life as far as understanding the power of programming, right? So Dennis Rodman, for those of you that don't know, Dennis Rodman is a Hall of Fame basketball player, former Hall of Fame basketball player. He's in the Hall of Fame, but he was a former player. And he won championships with the Chicago Bulls, the Detroit Pistons, and I believe he may have gotten another one with another team. But the point that I want to make here is that Rodman was someone who was not supposed to be a professional basketball player. For one, he didn't go to a big school. He wasn't highly recruited. He wasn't highly sought after out of college. He was someone who had played for junior colleges. He had played, for, multiple small colleges. He got an opportunity and he made the most of it because of his work ethic. And he was someone who did what's called the dirty work. He did the things that no one else would do. And he made his mark as a rebounder, and he became one of the league's all-time great rebounders. And what's interesting is that Rodman is 6'8", which is tall for society, right? Tall for the world. But on the basketball court, there were many other guys who were taller than him. And he always was able to get the rebound somehow. And what the guy that I was mentioning earlier, what he shared in his teaching was that Dennis Rodman would listen to audios before every game. And you would see, if you look at some of these old games and they would show Rodman, that Rodman would listen to an audio before the game. And what was on the audio, it was revealed, was that he kept telling himself that he was the best rebounder in the NBA. He kept telling himself that he was the best rebounder in the NBA. And eventually that's what he became. And yes, he had a great work ethic. And yes, he had a great attitude. And yes, he was willing to do the things that no one else was willing to do. But you can't discount the programming. He was programming himself. And he had to, because no one else was going to boost him up. And that's a good thing, because no one can encourage you and lift you up better than you. Okay? And isn't it amazing that even back then he knew that he had to program himself to become one of the greatest rebounders that ever lived. I mean, he really is one of the greatest of all time. And he got there, yes, by hard work, yes, by doing the little things, but he also got there because of his programming. Where can programming take you, right? It can take you as far as you want to go. It can take you as far as you want to go, but you've got to decide to do it. And what you have to understand is that if there's anything in your mind that's telling you that you can't do this, you've got to get rid of it. You got to change your program out, and you got to reprogram your mind as someone who has the thing that you want. So if you want to lose weight, then you got to reprogram your mind as a healthy person, as a person who's at their healthy weight. If you want to get out of debt, you got to reprogram your mind as somebody who is debt free. If you want to, be promoted, or you want to be at a certain position in your job, you got to reprogram your mind to be that person, right? And so that is one of the core things about programming. There's a lot more that I can say about it, but in the pursuit of your goal, you've got to look at your programming. And if your programming doesn't match where you're going, just like that radio station, You got to change it if you're going to have greater success. Just like Dennis Rodman, if you want to be one of the greatest, if you want to have what no one else has or very few people have, your programming has to rise to the level that you want to be at. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Playbook Radio. If this episode helped you, please share it with family and friends. For more about Playbook strategies, please go to GameplanPlaybook.com.